It appears as though the South African government's appeal has fallen on deaf ears. That's because a South African High Court judge has dismissed the government's right to appeal her earlier ruling granting the release of the killer of anti-apartheid hero Chris Hani after more than 22 years in prison. Janus Wallace was convicted in October 1993 for the murder, which had threatened to derail South Africa's transition to democracy. Chris Hani's widow, Limfo, described the white judge's ruling as racist. The government had previously refused to grant Wallace parole as he was said to have shown no remorse. Well, things didn't play out the way the South African government anticipated as well, and it will be regarding the release of Chris Hani's killer, but it's been good news all the way from the Guptas. The family business at the heart of a political storm which insists that it remains committed to the country and is investing $146.3 million to complete the acquisition of a coal mine. The group Oak Bay Investments, which controlled by the controversial Gupta family, has come under intense scrutiny amid allegations that it has enjoyed favorable access to government contracts and sought to influence political appointments. However, the chief executive of the group revealed plans to complete the purchase of a coal mine. This is an indication of the group's commitment to South Africa and a total dismissal of the speculation that the Guptas had fled the country. We'll stay with South Africa. After all the criticism he has been subjected to over the use of the public's money to renovate his Nkandla home, the ANC is willing to step up to the plate and pay back the money if President Zuma cannot afford to. Speaking out for the first time since the Constitutional Court ruling on the Nkandla matter, Premier David Mbuza said Mpumalanga supported and had accepted Zuma's apology. The province's support for Zuma follows that of Northwestern or Eastern Cape, Limpopo and Free State. From Johannesburg to discuss these happenings more, the CEO of Junto Media, Lucas Molloy, joins us. Thank you so much for being part of the program. Well, let's begin with President Zuma. What prompted not only the forgiveness, but the offer to pay back the money by various communities?
Cynthia.
All right, I think we've lost contact with Mr. Molloy. Let's take you to Kenya now. A group of Kenyan photographers took it upon themselves to travel across the country to capture beautiful images of places which have been forgotten and ignored. Now, the pictures they took were so breathtaking that they opted to put together an exhibition which prompts people to take a fresh look at their country.
A free photo exhibition in Nairobi is making Kenyans question just how much they know about their homeland. The series of images captured in different parts of the country, from the bustling financial capital to some of the most rural locations, was put together by a group of photographers known as One Touch, a creative collective whose aim is to see Kenya for themselves. One of the group's members, Nigerian-born Okwe Oko, explains the photographers wanted to create an experience that was realistic and different from what many Kenyans have always seen in Western-produced nature books and television shows.
Last year we focused exclusively on Kenya, different places that people may know of, but they don't actually, they haven't sucked the marrow out of it. They haven't met the people, they haven't walked through the terrain, they haven't seen the beauty of the place at sunrise or sunset. That's what we really went out to do. We're trying to get to external audiences to maybe change their view or their idea of what they think Africa is or Kenya is in particular because of last year, but also to internal audiences and telling people there's more to your country, there's more to your region than what you think or that what you were raised to believe. Go out there and see for yourself, engage with people like us, consume our content, but go out and do it yourself as well.
Kenya's image and tourism numbers took several hard hits after disputed elections led to violence in late 2007 and early 2008. Following that has been a slew of corruption scandals and a series of terrorist attacks that brought the tourism industry to its knees. Members of One Touch say mainstream media coverage is skewed. They hope this exhibition will get people wondering about the many locations they captured, and in turn create a hunger for new stories about Kenya and eventually the rest of Africa.
Our brief is Africa. Our brief is taking people and showing them in a dignified, respectful and insightful way. We are sick and tired of seeing stereotypical photos of Africans. We want to show people going about their lives in a triumphant way. You know, we see people in some difficult circumstances, but it's not my head down, waiting to die or waiting for someone to come and help me.
The exhibition drew a healthy number of photography enthusiasts, art lovers, as well as curious onlookers who say they appreciated the challenge to see Kenya for themselves.
These are things that we should explore in our films. These are things that we should showcase to the world. And I'm liking that Beyond is an opportunity for the world and for Kenyans to just view ourselves in perspectives that we rarely do.
The exhibition, dubbed Beyond, has been going on for 2 weeks since the start of April and is a collection of work gathered last year.
Let's get more on all those controversies sparked in South Africa. We're joined again by Lucas Molloy, the CEO of Junto Media. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Not a problem at all.
All right. Let's begin with President Jacob Zuma. What prompted not only the forgiveness, but the offer to pay back the money by various communities?
You know, at this moment, I don't think really that the communities that have sort of offered to do that, it's not something concrete. So what we've had coming out was the premier of ANC in Gauteng, in Mpumalanga, Mr. Mabuza, who said that when the president needs the various communities to pay that amount, the president will then ask, and those communities should be available to be able to do that. So there hasn't been really the commitment from anyone to pay that amount for the president. And also the issue of forgiveness and that. The ANC itself is very divided on whether they are forgiving the president or not. For example, in Gauteng alone, you've got the veterans wing of the movement, and you've got the Women's League, and you've got the youth saying that they forgive the president. Meanwhile, their provincial executive committee is saying that the president needs to step down.
What about the Gupta scandal? It seems to have become nothing but a memory now that there will be a huge investment in a coal mine.
What has really went quiet where the Guptas are involved, I suppose, is the involvement with President Zuma. That's where it has gone quiet. But generally also with the Guptas, it hasn't really went quiet. We have seen banks that are pulling out of to save the Gupta businesses. We've seen accounting firms that have pulled out. And there is also a lot of talk with regards to labor movements and everyone about the role that the Guptas are playing in the economy as investors. How does it impact people on the ground if the Guptas move out? So it's not really quiet. The part of it that is quiet is the involvement with President Zuma And I suppose that is quiet in the background of the ANC structures about to take a decision of where they will be moving with the whole story of the president and the group does. At the moment, there is really a big drive that says that on the 27th of April, that there should be big demonstrations to intensify the call for the president to step down. So I think it is a bit quiet in the media, but on the ground, people are still talking, and the call is still for the president to step down.
Right, my final question. One of the more emotional issues in South Africa at the moment is the Chris Hani situation. Are we likely to see more demonstrations based on the court's latest decision regarding the release of Chris Hani's killer?
You know, the problem, the big problem is, or maybe it's not a problem, it works, but immediately when the courts have presided on the matter and taken the decision, and that you see South Africans normally stepping back and they will cut down the demonstrations and they will try to challenge it again in the higher court. So we are probably going to see the matter going forward legally more than in demonstrations, because really the demonstrations are not going to sway the court where to go. You remember when we spoke about the issue earlier on in the week, I said that the likelihood is that the High Court is not going to give the minister leave to appeal, and that's exactly what has happened. So when the court have concluded on the matter, normally you see such demonstrations also pulling back and people trying to see what step do we take further on to try and challenge such a decision.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Network Africa. Well, that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Jackie Rogers.